Good evening, class. Have you ever been a person that brought a product, good or service from a particular company, but never brought that product again? Maybe you didn't like that product? Or have you been the next example that I will state, the person who bought a product, good or service, but remained loyal to that company and bought that product every time? In this particular study, we will look into those things, what makes you a consumer and what makes you a customer. My first example was what we'll call a consumer. My second example, what we'll call a follower or a customer. Someone who is brand loyal to that company, brand loyal to that good, brand loyal to that service or that product. In this particular research, we will look at how social media converts consumers to followers and how they would use this using electronic word of mouth and how this can be a good thing and can also be a bad thing for a company. And again, and my name is Reginald Walker Jr. My base paper reference. My main paper that I use to get my research from, to grasp some of my concepts from that I would use within my paper is from Myra Lee from Michigan State University. His paper was entitled Electronic Word of Mouth, How Electronic Word of Mouth Platforms Influence Consumer Product Judgment. And what he stated in this particular concept by saying how electronic word of mouth platforms influence consumer product judgment is that the social media and technology is an ever-changing sector, which means that young people and people of all ages are constantly using the technology and their environment is constantly growing. So companies need to use the electronic websites to reach their consumers now. And what this will cause for them to spend less money on print ads, less money on TV ads, because the social media networks are free. So they can put their advertisement on there, write comments on there, and also have an interpersonal relationship with their consumers, with their customers. And this also can turn consumers into followers. My abstract. And this particular, my abstract, what I want to identify, exemplify in this particular study is how effective and how efficient electronic word of mouth and consumer word of mouth, which would be called WOM, just WOM without the E. And EWOM is electronic word of mouth, and WOM is word of mouth. These terminologies I'll be speaking on numerous occasions in this particular presentation. And I will exemplify the effectiveness of how consumer to consumer word of mouth versus electronic word of mouth, and how companies can use this for the good of their company, for the good of their profit, or for the bad, where it can be bad as well. And a couple questions that I used was how social networking sites advertising affect consumers' purchasing habits and transfer them from consumers into followers, and also how companies bond with their consumers and turn them into followers, and why they're are elated to have word of mouth floating around in media. Back to the terminology I stated previously in my introduction, consumers. There's an old product that states, don't put all your eggs in one basket, which means don't put all your money in one product. And this is what we'll call that person, maybe you are this person, that person who will buy maybe Nike one day and then tomorrow they'll buy Reebok. Or they'll buy Jordan one day and then tomorrow they'll buy Sperry. Or they'll buy Sperry one day and then tomorrow they'll buy Polo. They really are not brand loyal to that particular company. They are not representing the company in which they are looking. They're not as loyal. They're more diversified, which they'll buy different type of items at different moments, not caring what the company is. Customers, on the other hand, are very loyal. There's a quote that says, my honor is my loyalty. And they pride themselves on the brand and the company. They feel like they are a part of the company. And they feel that they have the interpersonal communication with that particular company. So if they wear Nike, then they will continue to wear Nike. For example, I have a relative that when he buys Ford, he constantly buys Ford. Every time he buys Ford, and he prides himself and believes Ford is the best model that ever been made. My literature review. That's a brief synopsis of the literature review. Pretty what I looked upon when researching this is in the hypothesis is revealing that, my hypothesis revealed that consumer to consumer word of mouth is more efficient and more effective than electronic word of mouth. Because with electronic word of mouth, like blogs, or if you go on a website, anybody can put that on there. And maybe a company that wants to sell their product can put their own blogs on there and praise their company. But consumer word of mouth, if you're talking to a friend or a family member, you'll get the raw feedback. They'll tell you exactly and precisely what this product has for you. Whether the product is good, whether the product is bad, they'll tell you. And from that word of mouth, it can be a bad thing for the company, because with that word of mouth, it causes the consumer to step back and say, if my friend didn't like it, maybe I shouldn't go buy it. And that can really hurt and be a deficiency for that particular company. My conceptual framework: implementing brand and company loyalty via social networking sites. We'll take the company and the brand goods and services, and what they want to do is convert that customer who is very diversified but not loyal into a loyal customer. So they want them to come shop with them or buy their product once, but they want them to continue to buy their product. That's why, for example, you may buy a product from a high-end store or a car, and they constantly call you for your birthday or send you sales promotions, send you coupons, send you things to get you coming back to that store to buy things. So they learn your name, learn your children's name, and learn when their birthdays are, because they want to convert you, a consumer at the time, into a customer, which means you still buy the item, you just don't have a certain brand that you certain brand preference. So they try to convert a consumer into a customer using via the social media. And the social media is the electronic word of mouth, and it can also be customer word of mouth, because they can talk to each other also on the social media, but in person as well. Because you'll be more willing to buy something from your friend that your friend suggested than something from the company, because the company is going to sensationalize and maybe fabricate to a certain extent to get you to buy that product. But your friend or your family member will be completely honest with you. Any questions?